Facebook and Twitter have both taken a stance against mainland China, accusing the country of spreading disinformation against protesters in Hong Kong. Yesterday, Twitter said that it removed nearly 1,000 accounts, which they say were, quote, deliberately and specifically attempting to show political discord in Hong Kong. Facebook is also cracking down on content linked to China. In a statement released earlier, Facebook said in part, quote, the individuals behind this campaign engaged in a number of deceptive tactics, including the use of fake accounts. Facebook has since removed several websites and pages from its site. Roger Chang joins us now from New York City. He is the executive editor at CNET. Thank you so much for being here, Roger. How exactly was China spreading disinformation, and who were these posts targeting, and what was the content of these posts?
You know, a lot of these posts, they ranged right from sort of wild rumors, speculation that these protests were funded by the U.S. and the CIA specifically. Really, these posts were designed to undercut the argument of the protesters, really sow political dissent, and really just sort of, in general, kind of sow confusion about this issue, and really kind of, again, knock down the arguments made by some of the protesters, the pro-democracy protesters.
I found this interesting that many of the suspended accounts were based in mainland China, which blocks access to both Twitter and Facebook. So China doesn't allow these sites, but what about Hong Kong?
So Hong Kong does. In fact, I mean, that's, I think, one of the reasons why this protest movement has grown so rapidly is because of social media, right? The use of Instagram to kind of illustrate sort of what's going on in Hong Kong visually, using messaging apps like Telegram to kind of coordinate this effort. And so it's from both perspectives, from both sides. I think there's been shown to be heavy use of social media to really influence how this protest and how the sort of the counter protest is going.
And, you know, we all know that China has a history of online propaganda. A 2016 Harvard study estimated that around 500 million Chinese social media posts a year are created by government-paid commentators. Why does China invest so much in propaganda?
You know, it's all about controlling the narrative, right? It used to be having sort of the state-run paper and publication and media outlets, blasting the typical propaganda jargon out there was effective enough. They're starting to realize that especially for younger folks, younger residents in China who are a bit more disenfranchised, who don't see as much opportunity as some of the older generation who sort of experienced or benefited from the boom of China recently or in the last couple of years. You know, I think the Chinese government realizes they need to be a bit more savvy about propaganda, so that they've hired younger folks. They've really gone away from jargon and more looking at rhetoric that kind of strikes an emotional chord. But it's still, as always, it's been sort of their main tool to kind of control the narrative about the state of the country for its residents. But,
this issue isn't just affecting people in China and Hong Kong. How is the propaganda now coming into the U.S.?
Yeah, China is really engaged in sort of the globalization of propaganda for a while now. They've taken ads out in the Washington Post and the New York Times. My own father, who's a U.S. citizen, he reads Yahoo Hong Kong, it's a Chinese language site. And he was seeing a lot of these rumors about the CIA sponsorship of these protests. And given the sheer amount of volume of comments and rhetoric there, I mean, he said he couldn't even be sure what was the truth at the end.
Oh, that's so interesting. Is the U.S. getting involved? How is the government stepping in?
Right now, obviously, they've kind of been hands off. They're sort of letting the Hong Kong and Hong Kong and China kind of deal with this. But it's clearly between Facebook and Twitter kind of stepping in. There is some action being taken by U.S. companies.
Interesting. Roger Chang, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.